So it's 8th of February 2022. So last night we closed out of that extra Tesla trade. That was break even. So that was the right thing to do, I think, to get out of that. Stock's clearly in no man's land. So that means we've still got that core shareholding, but that extra trade has now been sold. Now the stock is ZIM Shipping. I sort of pushed out really well last night, so I've got an order in to sell half of that share at that shareholding at just under $75, so that'll be a 15% return on that, and that's more just to start booking in some profits given how bad the market is. So yeah, let's see if I get hit, but the charts are very clearly strong there. But I do want to, I don't want to sort of push my luck. I want to sell under strength where I can, because you just don't know when things are going to just turn back over at the moment. But in general, shipping stocks are looking very strong. So another one, for example, is this Daniels. That pushed really nicely off the 200-day moving average. Discussed it yesterday. Should have been buying there, and it's just sort of breezed past there. So yeah, shipping's really strong at the moment. Okay, the other sectors, a lot of sectors actually really still very weak. Tech is really weak. Anything closely related to it's weak. In fact, just about every sector is quite weak, apart from a few standouts. So that's shipping, as I just mentioned, energy, and oil and gas exploration, and that's literally about it. So I'm just going to focus the efforts on those, and I'll come to a few of those stocks I'm looking at. But for example, just a few more sort of tells. Google. I was hoping this was going to be sort of a viable gap up on that huge earnings and a 20-1 stock split, but it's just being sold into. That's not a good sign. Well, it's just a sign that we're in a weak market when a company comes up with big numbers and still can't go up. And ditto AMD, huge earnings, massive beat, and basically just doing nothing. Mentioned yesterday, semis are in a world of hurt, and that certainly hasn't changed in one night. So in terms of other stocks, tell you the truth, I probably should have just bought this last night, sort of VCP type action. Just hesitating a bit, just given how bad the market is. So what my plan is, if I manage to sell half that ZIM, I'm going to reinvest. I'll get some more exposure with something like this, or another stock I'm looking at, which is LLNW. Tiny stock, but just looks super strong. Very, like I say, tiny stock, illiquid, so pretty risky. And another one that's popping up is Las Vegas Sands. Now, that to me looks like it's going into stage 2. So stage 1 bottomed out, 50-day moving average turning up. Huge numbers on earnings here. Look at the volume there. Held that viable gap up. Now pushing above the 200-day moving average, pushing it past previous resistance. So I probably still buy a Hess type stock in front of this one, purely because look at all the overhead resistance there. Even though it does really look like it's bottoming, it's almost like an inverse sort of head and shoulders type action there. Wouldn't be against buying some options on this one, just to keep my risk nice and low. The options aren't too expensive on this. So again, the plan is to wait for ZIM to hopefully sort of cash out lock in a bit of a profit there, and use some of that money to refinance going into another trade and try and sort of build up from there slowly. Now, just on another note, just a general note. Yeah, this week I'm really going to try and stick to the discipline, doing a video a week, stick to my process. I just keep finding it, just stick to that process. Yeah, good things happen. So yeah, just understand where the market structure is, what's working, what's not working. What's not working is typically breakouts, viable gap ups. They're being sold into, but pullback buys have been working. So yeah, and they just stick to those sort of few key sectors that are working. Okay, the other one is, if I just look at the Nasdaq. Now I'm going to just cherry pick some numbers here. I didn't have a good 2021. I didn't sell some there's some tech stocks that were very clearly rolling over from stage 3 to 4, and but I got my act sort of sorted out in the last sort of 3 or 4 months. I mentioned a number of times the October low last year. So Nasdaq went up, let's just call it 14%, and it's now dropped 12%. I've got some different accounts, and some of them are more aggressive than others. So one of the sort of slightly more aggressive ones that did plus 20 and then did minus 10. So it's still plus 10 compared to roughly almost exactly 0 for the Nasdaq. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think potentially I could have done better. I could have gotten more aggressive. He wasn't actually that aggressive. Just options came good in a serious way. I mentioned the December video, I was sort of selling out of the things like the Googles and the Shopifys and C Limited, so that really saved my bacon through here, not waiting for things to sort of roll over. If it's clear stage 3 with no real momentum behind it, then just jump out. And the only thing that sort of really brought me down the numbers here is I made so much money on options through here. I sort of things like roll-up options, but still had options exposure, and they've just been crucified going down here. Like most of those option positions are down 80-90%. So that's what dragged my sort of performance down here. So yeah, could always do a better job actually making more on the way up. And yeah, probably, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been so sort of bullish going into, sort of topping action here and just keeping those options. But I guess you live and learn. I'm actually pretty happy with what I've done here. I don't want to sort of beat myself too much. A lot of people have lost a lot of money through this period, and for me to sort of actually just hang in there, keep at least half of my gains that I made up through here. Yeah, I'm actually not unhappy with that, but yeah, definitely still room for improvement. But yeah, that's it.